A lot of us have people in our lives that we just wish we could change one or a couple of things about to make that relationship better. But what if I was to tell you, it's not about having them change to make this relationship better, but it's about changing something in ourselves that will really have the profound impact on how that relationship shows up in our lives. What's up, team? It's David with another Psychology Fitness Lab episode. And today we're going to talk about relationships and how we have the equation backwards. Yes, we have the equation backwards. We're going to talk about those people in our lives that challenge us and that we'd like to maybe make like one little change with them. Oh, if they could change this one thing, it would be so much better. If they could do this one thing more consistently, I would be happier. If they said this one thing, I would feel loved. Yeah, it doesn't always work like that. And as much as we want it to, sometimes those conversations we have with those people, trying to explain those things to people, doesn't always go the way that we want it to go. Now, if you can relate to this, kind of give me a little bit of a hand raise. I can definitely relate to this. This is one of the things that I come up with in my relationships quite frequently because I do expect a lot from the people that are in my life. I've been very specific about choosing the people that I want to have in my life, people I spend my time with. So for me, I want to be getting as much out of those relationships as I give and trying to keep that equal. Now, in and of itself, that can be problematic, but particularly when it comes to this thing that I want to talk about today, because one of the biggest areas in my personal development has been working on being less critical of myself and then in turn, my partner. And what this reality comes down to is actually loving myself completely and accepting myself fully, which is not always easy to do when you're a high-performing and you're hard-charging alpha like me. And as one can think, this type of critical behavior can spill over into our relationships, and particularly in our romantic relationships, leading to non-optimal results. Now, that's what I want to talk about today, team, is like how I've come up with these two tactics that I've learned from John Gottman, who I'll explain a little bit who that is, in order to not only have my relationships be different and have my partner look different to me, but also for me to show up differently in this space, for me to actually do the work for me so the relationship becomes better. And now, like I said, team, I'm definitely a person who is critical of myself. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I definitely hold myself to a really freaking high standard. And of course, I hold those people in my life to a really high standard as well. And this isn't always the best thing, because a lot of times in my past relationships, intimate and friends and family, it has led to a lot of conflict and sometimes dissolution because of those things. Now, I've figured out these two tactics that I want to share with you today that have really helped me better understand how I can show up in this way in order to become a better partner, a better son, a better friend, fill in the blank for whatever relationship you're trying to improve. I got these tactics, one of them particularly from John Gottman. If you don't know who John Gottman is, I challenge you now to look him up online or on social and start following him. John Gottman runs the Gottman Institute that's located out in Seattle, and he has become known to be the relationship expert. Like, this is the guy when it comes to relationships that you want to follow, that you want to understand, that you want to practice everything he talks about into your relationships. He's one of the number one guys that I subscribe to for my relationships and for any kind of partner, especially intimate relationships, partner work that I want to do. He has one of my favorite books called The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work, which is actually on my desk right here. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of tactic from there. So now let's get into it, team. What ends up happening is that your partner does something and, oh my gosh, it pisses you off. You do not like it. It makes you so mad. And you're like, I gotta tell him or her what the hell they're doing. I don't, like, they gotta know right now. Yeah, not always the way. This is something that actually my partner taught me, which is about timing. And this is the first tactic we're gonna talk about, is timing. Sometimes it's not always best to bring up something in the moment that they're doing it. Sometimes that annoying thing they're doing in the moment, we're too emotionally charged to actually be able to talk about this in a way that our partner is actually going to be able to receive it from a place of love and not of criticism. And so we gotta make sure we let those emotions go first. And when we get a chance to actually speak about this thing, I want you to be coming it from a logical perspective. Coming from a place where, you're talking to your partner and they know that you love them. And they know that you want the best for your relationship and for them. That you're not trying to attack them, you're not trying to criticize them, that you're actually just trying to make your relationship better in this case. So that's the first tactic, team, timing. Make sure your timing is appropriate. Try not to always talk about something right in the moment. Give yourself some space, maybe an hour, couple hours, maybe it's even the next day when you can talk about it in a little bit more of a non-hostile emotional environment. The second tactic I want to talk to you guys about next is when your partner is doing this thing that annoys the hell out of you, I want you to try to think to yourself first, what can I do to make this situation better or change the situation? What can I do? Because we're normally pointing the finger at them. It's like, oh, if they only did this, if they only said that, if they only weren't doing this, I would be happy. But what if you could flip that around and take back the power? Because now you're giving the power to them to make the change. What if you took the power and said, I'm gonna harness this power and make the change? And one of the examples I love that I came across reading the Gottman Institute's papers is that there was this wife who used to always get pissed off at her husband. He would leave food in the kitchen sink drain. And she'd always get mad at him for this. Like every time she would ask him to do it, he would rarely ever do it. And every time she saw the kitchen sink with food in it, she'd get really pissed off at him. And so what she ended up figuring out is that no matter what she said to him or how she tried to explain to him, he just didn't get it. So she took the power back into her own hands and she said, okay, he doesn't understand, but you know what? Instead of getting mad, I'm gonna do this. So I'm gonna empty the kitchen sink, the food drain. The next thing you knew, she was okay. It never bothered her anymore. She simply made this flip of the script and let her take the power back into her own place. She said, what can I do to make this situation better? How can I change to make the situation better? Now, I had this happen with me and my partner. She leaves the lights on sometimes, which just befuddles me of why or how that's even possible. But it's something that I get really mad about, and I would try to always tell her to change. Then I realized, I was like, wait a minute, what if I just shut the lights off? Or I start making jokes about it too. So there's different ways to go about this. So what I started shutting the lights off and just being okay with it. Why? Because she's amazing in so many other ways, and this is one little tiny thing that maybe doesn't resonate with her at the level that resonates with me. So I'm gonna allow myself the space, I'm gonna take that power back, and I'm gonna make that change for myself and the relationships. Because sometimes the solution we're looking for isn't trying to change the other person, but it's us doing something that changes us and makes us be better at what we're trying to do. And then we can be more thankful towards the other person for helping us grow. Now, how crazy of a flip of the script is that? We're actually now thankful to the other person for doing something that pissed us off because it made us grow. Now, team, that's the thing I want to leave you with today. Where in your relationships is there something that you can take the power back, that you can flip that script over, and instead of looking at that person with annoyance, you can be thankful they're giving you a choice to grow? Team, let us know in the comments of where you found that, and DM us with some of the results that you guys are finding from this amazing piece of wisdom of letting that thing go, taking back your power, using the tactics of timing and flipping the script to see what you can change, and being thankful to your partner today for helping you grow in those ways that you thought before were annoying.